Hey, what's up, guys? It's Eric coming back at you. So I'm going to tell you a story. This story is about how God will use anything and anyone at any time. So a couple of years ago, my dad passed away, right? And I fell on rough times. My family was divided because of our inheritance issues and all kinds of stuff, right? I fell into a really bad depression, and I was going through some rough times. So, trying to fill that void, I found drugs. Nobody wanted me around. I was acting a fool, using drugs, drinking. Just didn't care. I wasn't caring about my life. Wasn't taking care of myself. Didn't care. Didn't care about my family. Everything was just going downhill. So basically, I was on the streets. I was on the streets, but I wasn't on the streets because I was staying in motels and stuff like that. And the reason why I was able to stay in motels and not actually be on the streets, I was for a little bit, but it's because I owned a condo, and I had sold it, and I made some pretty good money off of it. So if it wasn't for that, I literally would have just been on the streets or in my car or something. Probably not even in the car, probably just literally on the streets. I wasn't working. I was staying in motels. I didn't really know where to go. Didn't have anybody to talk to. And all this whole Gangstalking thing was still going on. I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have anybody. I mean, I knew God was always there, but my mind was foggy. I was at the motel one day, and I just said, like, you know what, I'm gonna look for a sober living place to where I could get my life back together, get back on track, with like-minded people that had the same goals in mind. So I found a place out in San Fernando, over here in California, that was pretty low in rent. It was like, shared living. I was gonna have a roommate, but it was cheap rent, and I was cool with that. I was like, heck yeah, cheap rent, being around people that have the same goal in mind. I was like, this is gonna work. This get my life back on track right here. So I call about this sober living place, and just mind you, like, this wasn't court ordered or anything like that. I didn't have to be there. I chose to do this. This was just something I wanted to do. So I called the guy up, made an appointment, and I told him I would rent the space, and I'd be sharing it with, I was going to share a room with a roommate. And I was like, cool. All right. So we go, pay him. I move in. I meet the roommate, and he's a white dude, a little bit younger than me. And he seemed cool at first. Everything was cool. We got along and everything. He a lot of the stuff that I used to do, he did. Like we had a little connection of things in common and stuff. 3 months pass or whatever, and everything's going good. He asked me if I wanted to go to a restaurant, maybe get a beer or something. We're supposed to be in a sober living, but we were doing this. And so we did. And like on that day, we hit it off good. We chopped it up. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we got drunk, and he showed me his true colors, like who he really was. Like, he was in this sober living too, and like I thought, like he had the same goals in mind and stuff. Like, I mean, come to find out, this guy he was either an informant or something, like, either one of these gang stalkers or an informant or something. Every day we start doing things like, going out together, going to restaurants. We started doing drugs again together. We started drinking a lot. We would go out there. They're probably everywhere, but in the valley, there's a lot of underground casinos. I never really knew about it. I mean, I heard about them, but I never had been in any of them. So I did. I went with him, and I'm not a I'm not a gambling person. I just wanted to check out the scene. I don't like losing my money. Not on that. I always feel like if I want to lose my money, I want to get something from it. You know. But anyway, like we would go to these underground casinos. Everybody in there is doing drugs, drinking, pretty much doing it. It's a free for all. You do whatever the hell you want in there. Like, we were hitting it off. We were becoming like best buddies and stuff. We were with each other all the time. We were already roommates, so might as well. He had this friend that he said he would go over. He'd go over his house all the time and go chill with him. And he would always try to invite me over, and I was like, all right, I'll go one of these days. I'll go check it out. They play pool and stuff like that, and he said, all right. Months later, I finally just give in, and I'm like, all right, I'll go with you to this house and go check it out. What's up with it? It was a weird place because it was a nice house. It was a nice big home. I met the owner of the house. He's an older man. He's an ex-public defender, public pretender, and he was retired and all that, and just chilling. He told me that he would slang dope and stuff out of there, and I was like, what? How did this guy was an ex-lawyer, criminal lawyer, slanging dope out of this place, and it was a nice home and everything, and I was like, what? Things were just not adding up because there was other people that would just hang around this place, around his house, and it's like they never worked or anything. And I was questioning my roommate, how is it that these people just kick back here and he just lets them kick back here? There was 3 dudes that were living there, 2 girls that were living there, and it seemed like nobody ever worked or anything. And I was like, something's just not adding up in this house. It just doesn't make sense to me. Nobody's working, big ass pad, and none of them really drove or anything like that. Some of them did have cars, but not everybody was bumming rides off of each other and stuff like that. How is it that they're able to just kick back here, do drugs, and just who's funding this? What the heck? He would tell me that this was one day that I had came over, but he told me that there was girls that were always coming in and out. What do you mean that there's girls always coming in and out? Yeah, he always got new girls. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And yeah, he's like, yeah, you should come over and we'll, meet some girls or whatever. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Like I said, things just weren't adding up. What I was like, are these guys running a prostitution ring or something here or what? And one of the guys that lives there brought a chick over, and she was a pretty white girl. She looked like she was out of her mind. She looked crazy, and every guy that was there was trying to get with her and stuff like that, and they were offering her drugs and all kinds of stuff. But she kept I'm just observing this. I'm just watching, what is going on here? And everybody was offering her drugs and hey, you want to hit this, hit the pipe or whatever, and she was declining everything. So everybody was thinking she was smoked out or something, or is she just smoked out, or is she on drugs? Is she drunk? Is she high? What is it? You know what I mean? Or is she just crazy? I'm just sitting back, just chilling, watching and observing, because I'm always leery about things. I don't just, you know what I mean? I sit and watch things, I don't know if it's just, that's just how I am. And all these guys are trying to get with her. She's just declining them or walking away from them, and she was acting weird. She was acting crazy, walking around the pool. She went in the pool, got out of the pool. She went in with her clothes on. So they all go inside, right, to go play pool and stuff like that. Or go play darts. They have dartboards and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. I was just chilling outside, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I was doing some stuff I shouldn't have been doing. I was smoking by myself. Outside in their little courtyard area or whatever they had. I had been out there for 30, 40 minutes by myself, whatever, 45 minutes. And here comes that chick that supposedly she's crazy or whatever, that nobody can get with. She comes outside. And then she's just walking around me and looking at me, literally she was doing circles walking around me. I was in this chair. And I was just what are you doing? Like, and then she's like, nothing, just walking. Like, and I'm like, so my spiritual eyes like go open. I'm like, you don't scare me if that's what you're trying to do. And she's like, I know I don't scare you. And then she sits down, and I had the Pookie oil burner in my hand, right? And then she grabs it, and she's like, what are you doing with this? She's like, you're killing yourself. And I'm like, okay. Like, and I'm like, I'm just observing all this. I'm like, what is going on? And she takes it from my hand, and I just let her, and I'm like, okay. And then she just takes it and like throws it somewhere or something. I don't know where she says, I was sent here for you, my dude. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you were sent here for me? And at this time, my spiritual ears and eyes were open. Like, I'm listening. And she says, yeah, I don't know what God's got to do to get through to you. And then I'm like, what? And then she starts telling me like these people have bad intentions and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, I ask her, what's your name? So she literally gives me like an angelic name. Like, I don't even remember it. It was a big name. And I'm just like, oh, okay. It's time to leave. Like, I'm already tired, and I'm like, things are getting weird here. I'm gonna get out of here. And so I tell my roommate, let's get out of here. Let's go home. One of the guys was gonna stay behind, all right? And he's the one that had brought her. And then, like, I can hear her talking and just saying things, and she's like, well, I'm gonna stay here, but she said, if I'm gonna stay here, and this guy's gonna try and make his move on me, and he's gonna try and, do something to me or whatever. But she said, like, if something happens, the blood is on your guys' hands. Like, and nobody was really paying attention to her, right? She was just saying this stuff out loud, and she wasn't directly talking to anybody but me. And I heard this, and like I said, my spiritual ears are open, and so I heard her say this, and so I'm like, oh man, that's like my cue from God to like get her out of there or something, like either something bad was gonna happen or something. So I go over to her and I tell her, like, hey, do you wanna go with me and my roommate? Nothing weird, just, do you want to get out of here? I'll take you home, or drop you off somewhere or whatever after. And she's like, yeah, I'll go with you. Thank you. And I'm like, okay, no worries. So we get in the car. Like, she said goodbye to them or whatever, and she gets in the car with us. She's still acting kind of weird and crazy and stuff like that. Okay, but we get to the house, and my roommate's like trying to get with her, trying to put booze on her and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, kick back. Like, don't, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Ain't nobody gonna do anything, like, nothing like that. Nothing weird. And then he leaves to go to the bathroom. And then she's telling me stuff. She's telling me that they're watching me. That they're watching me. This is like spiritual. She's telling me these things. Like, she's like, they're watching you. And I'm like the people here? She's like, yeah, they're watching you. They're watching you. And so I had already kind of suspected that there were like those gangstalker creeps or whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean they're watching me? She's like, yeah, they're doing a sleep study on you. And I'm like, they're doing a sleep study? They've been watching you. They're hearing you. They're listening to you. And everything. But like I said, I had already suspected this stuff. I didn't know who this girl was. She's just a random girl from the streets. And I'm all, really? Yeah. And then here comes the roommate back. And then she points to him when he's not looking. She's like, he's one of them. Like, he's watching you. And I'm like, how are they watching me? Like, I tell her, like, what, like, how are they watching me, you know? And then she's like, she points to a lighter of his that he's had. And I remember that he told me about, he has this lighter, right? We'd use it for cigarettes, whatever. And then, like, he would always be all, like, concerned about getting his lighter back. And I'm like, it's just a lighter, dude, relax. Like, he's like, no, let me see it. And he's like, I just don't want to lose it. Because, you know, I've had it for a long time. Like, it's a lighter, you know? And then she's like, yeah, the lighter is, like, listening to you or whatever. And then she takes it. She grabs the lighter, like, on his table. And he gets all like, hey, give me my lighter. Where is it at? And, like, and then she gives it back to him, right? What? Yeah. Linda, get out of here. She wants to be on TV. So this was the last day of me being at the sober living when I had brought her back, okay? Because I didn't want to. It wasn't a lease or anything, but I had decided that I'm gonna leave this place because I just don't want to be here. It was already feeling weird, gangstalker-ish, and I there were so many things going on, and they were gangstalkers, you know. There was probably like a good 5 of them in there, and the rest were probably real people. Yeah, real people. These people were already doing like gang stalker stuff before, so I had already suspected it, right? So they were doing things to me that were like, they were doing things to me that weren't cool, right? So I'd go out to the kitchen and grab stuff like out of the cabinets, like, or whatever, you know, cereal, or I would grab a dish or whatever. And as soon as I would go to grab it, someone would walk over all the time. And they would reach for something as soon as I would reach for something. They were doing this all the time. Like, trying to make me feel I was crazy. You know? And I was like, what? They were trying to make me feel like I was crazy. They would reach for something when I would reach for something. And I'd look at them and be like, dude, like, what are you doing? This was happening all the time. They kept doing this to me. Like, I'd go to the fridge, they'd go to the fridge. You know, I'd walk outside, someone would walk outside with me. They were always like mimicking what I was doing. Like, and I was like, these creeps are in here too? In a sober living place? Like, it was just tripping me out, dude. Like, and so yeah, they were doing these things. They would, you know, as soon as I would walk outside, they'd walk outside. I reach for a dish, they'd reach for a dish. I go to the sink, they'd go to the sink to put something in the sink or whatever. Like, they were doing this, trying to mimic every little move I was making. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And on top of that, like I said, I had already suspected it. And I remember I was asleep and I had opened my eyes, and on the top of the roof, it has the drop ceiling, like the ceiling tiles. And I was sleeping on my back, and I remember opening my eyes. I remember opening my eyes like slowly, and I could see a red light in one of the ceiling tiles. And then like I fully opened it and it just disappeared. And I was like, am I tripping? Like, I think I saw like a red light like recording. And I had told my roommate when he woke up, and he's like, nah, you're just tripping. I don't know, like, every time I would say something, this dude always tried to justify why it wasn't. Like, trying to make me feel like I was always tripping. Like, you're tripping. Like, no. Always trying to justify why it wasn't. And I was like, there's something up with this dude. Like, he never goes along with anything that I say. Nothing. He always counters it. And I got in an argument with him too one time, and I told him, dude, you don't have to try and justify why something's not happening. I'm telling you what I see, and I see what I see. I'm not blind, you know. Stop, you know. It's getting annoying. And so, like I said, he would always just try to justify it, and it was annoying. On the day that I was leaving the sober living, right, The girl was there. It was me, my roommate, and the girl in our room. And I was already gonna leave on this date anyway, right? I was gonna pack it up and leave. They I went out to the kitchen to go like grab something out of the fridge or something, and they started doing that thing again. And I was already in a weird mood. Like I was gonna leave anyway, and like really today's the last day, and you're gonna do this shit to me. And then like my spiritual side had just was already there. Let me remind you, like since I was doing drugs, I wasn't eating, so I was fasting. I wasn't eating it at all. So God was already like preparing me for this. Like spiritually, when you're weak, you're strong. That's what fasting is. Basically, like you're killing the flesh. So God saw what he could use at this time. They started doing that when I went out to the fridge. So my tongues just started coming out. Like the spirit, like the Holy Spirit just came upon me, and I just started rebuking. I just started rebuking them, and the guys that were there in the living room, there's two guys, right? They were just looking at me, like, and then the tongues were just flowing out, right? Strong tongues were coming out, and then I was rebuking them in tongues, but. Here comes the girl that was in the room. She comes outside. Those two go sit down on the couch, right? And then the girl's just and it's almost like they didn't even see the girl. She was standing right on my side. It was weird. It was like God was just here. Let me guide you. Like, I'm gonna like. It was basically like an angel, like guiding me. And then these two guys just sit down, right? And then I'm rebuking them in tongues, and then she says, they can't understand you. And she's like, they can't understand you. She's like, you know how to do it. And I'm like it was like it was like an angel guiding me to remember, this is how you do it. So and then I started rebuking them, and just straight out rebuking them. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, and I cast you out, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper in the name of Jesus. And like I rebuke the spirit of gangstalking in the name of Jesus. And like as soon as I started doing this, they moused up. They were on the couch like a mouse, like they couldn't move. They were so scared. And then literally I heard one of them growl, like he's like that, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? So I was rebuking them, right? And I was doing it. And I was rebuking him pretty loud. So people from the upstairs manager that was in there, he came down and he's like, all right, Eric, you got to go, and all kinds of stuff. And like, what, for rebuking your demonios? And for rebuking your demons or what? No, I didn't say that, but I was already ready to get out of there too, because it was a damn gangstalking house. I'm tired of this. Like, I went there for peace, and the first day I got to that sober living house, man, I was offered drugs right away. Like it was the first day. Everybody in that house was pretty much doing drugs, besides probably the gangstalkers, and probably even them too, were doing them. But so basically, I was going out, but they threw me out. All right, and I didn't really care. I was on my way out anyway. I went to a motel. I told her and my roommate, like, because my roommate said he was going to leave with me too. He's like, well, when you leave, I'll leave. And I'm like, okay, whatever, He was like tagging along with me. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go get a motel. We'll go to a motel. I paid for it. I was tired because I had been up all night. And I had, because we had gone home in the morning. And so I get the motel, pay for it, and I go lay down on the bed because I'm so sleepy and tired. I'm like, man. And the girl's still kind of like telling me little things here and there, and like, but still acting weird and crazy. My roommate was over there sitting on a couch in the motel, in the room. We're in the room, and he's talking to her. And I told him, like, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna try to take a little nap because I'm tired. I've been up all day night. all day and all night, pretty much. And so I do, but I'm still leery because I'm still leery about everything. I don't like people in a room with me unless they're sleeping, sleeping too. I don't know what they're gonna do. So I'm just laying there on the bed, right? Just laying there. And I'm hearing them like conversate. Like the conversation wasn't even like he was trying to get with her, right? And I was just laying down and I'm hearing the conversation and stuff like that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, Lord, who do I trust and what do I believe? What has been, is this really from you? In my mind, I'm just thinking this, like, is this really an angel from you? Is this another game or what is this? I was having like a doubt. And the girl's way over there. I'm thinking this stuff in my mind. And she's over there chilling with the guy. And then she pops up. And I look up too. At the same, like pretty much at the same time. And she's like, trust God. Like that. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like I knew for sure it was from God. Because he had just, like, I was already having doubt. Like, is this really from God? It was God. See, he had brought the lighter and the cube in the USB cord, the cube that you plug into the wall. She said, so she grabbed that, right? And she's like, remember, they're watching you. This was at the hotel. And she unplugged the cube from the wall. And she tries to hand it to me. And then he's like, oh, what are you doing with my cube? I need that. And all kinds of stuff like that. And then she's looking at me like, this is what's watching you. And I'm like, what? Okay. And then so I grab it from her hand and he's like, give it to me. Yeah, I need it. And like being all anal about it. And I'm like, what do you need it for? I'm going to use it. Don't worry about it. I'll give it back to you. He's like, I need it though, dude. Like, he's like being anal about it. I'm like, why do you need this so bad? I'll get you another one. Don't worry about it. And like, he was so worried about it. Anyway, I took it and I put it in my bag and I'm taking this. I didn't get the lighter because she was trying to get me back the lighter too. Like, but I didn't take it. He stayed with it. But anyway, at that point I was like, all right, I gotta get away from this guy. I gotta get away from all this weird craziness that's happening, dude. I gotta get out of here. So I told the girl, you want to leave? You want to get out of here? Like, I'll drop you off, but don't stay with this guy, She's like, yeah, I'll go with you. Let's go. So we took off. And at this, I leave the guy behind. I told him, hey, I'll be back right now. And I just left him there in the motel room. I was like, screw this guy, And so I just take off. I take off with her. And at this point, God's pretty much telling me, like, let her go. Like, drop her off. Like, she didn't, I told her, do you want me to drop you off somewhere? You would drop you off at a house or what? And she wasn't saying anything. So I'm like, well, I'll just drop her off. And now, some craziness is starting to happen. She's like trying to jump out the car and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? I pull over and I'm like, you gotta go then, because like I don't know what to do with you. I don't know where to take you. You're not telling me anything, so I'm gonna just drop you off, okay? And then she was trying to jump out the door of the car and all kinds of stuff. I'm like, hey, relax. And like, she's like, see, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, what is going on? I was tripping out. But anyway, God was telling me, that's it, let her go. So I pull over and she just walks out, gets out of the car. And I just stay there for a while, and I called a friend of mine and was talking to her, and then and here comes the girl back again, trying to get back in the car, but I had locked the doors, so she couldn't get back in. And she was just looking at me, and she walked off, came back a couple times, did the same thing, and then she finally just walked off. And that was just a weird. This is just weird. It was a weird scenario that happened, but I have no doubt in my mind that it was an angel from God that he sent to, like, God will use God will use anybody or anything to get through to you. Whatever's going on in your life, if he needs to use drugs to get through to you, then he'll use it. If he needs to use the TV to get through to you because that's all you do, then he'll use it. Whatever it is, he will use it. But yeah, this was just so basically God revealed to me one of the things that these gang stalkers were doing. They were doing a sleep study on me. And she even said like the angel, the girl said, they can't figure you out. They're like you can sleep. You can sleep because you're tired, but you don't. And not gonna, but she's like, but they're having a hard time figuring you out. And I'm like, okay. So she said other things to me. I can't remember everything, but basically they revealed one thing that these gang stalkers were doing. They were trying to do a sleep study on me. This was at a sober living house that it wasn't court ordered for me. I chose to go there to try and rehabilitate my life, you know? So, you know, and then they were doing these things to me even at the house. Like, it's just like, what is this, dude? I'm going to open a sober living house and I'm going to run it the way it should be ran. Help people. You know, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you were doing there. Seriously. You watch this video. I hope you watch this video. You should be ashamed of yourself. But anyway. Yeah, so that was the story of that. How an angel visited me. I have other stories kind of similar to this. I'll come out with some other ones. But I thank you guys for listening. And I hope you watch this all the way through. You should go watch. You should go watch the scary but true events. It's basically my testimony of how I know God. Okay. But anyway, I thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. I read all your comments. If you have any questions, shoot them to me, or even opinions. I read everything, so I'd appreciate you guys. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay righteous.